problem for BLG to deal with and just get rid of the Vi if you can't really deal with it, and giving that open to the blue one side of EDG where they were so comfortable on this champion.
Yeah, getting rid of something like that definitely feels like a smart
Ursine,
move.
I spot something different for this Game 3. EDG, they decided to ban the Kindred instead of the Nico, so that allows Fofa to pick it up for this final game and really put BLG in a sticky situation. Perhaps something like the Annie and the Wukong as a response, but I personally much prefer the Nico over the Annie, as you are just a better version with a lot of lane priority when it comes to early objectives.
Yeah, I mean, definitely feels like a little bit of a trade-off here. They are going to go for the Vi ban. Nico pick does mean the Wukong kind of falls into the next priority here for the side of BLG. They get that for Shun. Definitely something that, because we are the best, let's go BLG.
Wow.
Nice. Very rare do I get to be able to read a sign in Shanghai, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And BLG, look, you can go back towards Elcon. This is Aphelios. I don't think he had a bad time with the particular champion in that last game. I just don't think his support was doing him any favors. Maybe even going towards the Aphelios over Jinx is a strange one for me, because again, we saw the Jinx having now a 19-10 in the 29 different games they've played against each other so far this split. And Nocturne already kind of coming in. The solo laner still getting locked and loaded here for EDG. And I think you go with the Lulu. I think straight up, go with the Lulu, keep it right beside this Aphelios and get that kind of setup for yourself.
It might be something like the Syndra where it does do traditionally comfortably into the lane up against Nico, and it does get yourself a bit of that early game priority. No, it's going to be a default back to Annie where you have that kind of reliable engage for the side of BLG in this final game, but I really want to see BLG saving that counter spot for On in this final game, as he has just the best answers to Mako's champion pool depending on what he decides to do in this final game, because EDG, I mean, they're dropping it to 4 and 5 for the bottom lane, and BLG, they're more than happy to start banning out all those champions, and the Jinx one is going to be the first one.
Yeah, Jinx, Lucian probably going to be the ones they get rid of in this. They know the solo lanes, they know where it's all going. I imagine EDG ban away the Gnar and possibly the Sion as well. Or maybe they want the Sion here into the top lane for Ala to kind of, take Bin out on top of her. Maybe the Gragas. There's plenty of tanks that they can kind of ban away, but definitely the Gnar is something I would imagine EDG will want to take off the board. They're actually going to go with the Lulu themselves, so kind of saying, look, we're not going to take it. So that means that the Lulu is not going to be available in this next particular one, but maybe a Lulu Rakan ban coming out here now for EDG.
Yeah, if Lulu and Rakan does get taken off by the side of EDG, that does signify that Nautilus is going to become the next high priority champion. However, if you trade the Nautilus instead of the Rakan, that does mean that EDG most likely looking for something like that Zion Rakan in the bottom lane, but it can also get denied by BLG with that pick. But my question is what is Bin going to play in that top side? Because we've seen that once he is also given something like the counter pick, he is more than happy to be in that isolated matchup, especially against a Cassante where you have so many answers, the Fiora and the Gwen already taken away. But perhaps something like, I don't want to cook too much, because I know I've been saying I want BLG to cook, but what if we get an Aatrox?
I mean, we have seen it from Shanghai earlier in this week, so I mean, it could definitely be something that can do well. We saw it to a great effect. And there's the Neela coming out here for a leave, and the Yuumi. So something that maybe was forgotten about here by BLG as they kind of see a new look to that Yuumi combination down on the bot side.
Alright, well, Bin is cooking as he locks in Malphite for that final pick of this game, but EDG introducing something new, the Nyla getting played for the first time in LPL Summer Split and paired alongside Mako's iconic cap. But of course Mako's the person that plays Yuumi without Zeri. Of course it's him, he's that guy.
And yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting one here. We haven't seen Neela in quite some time, and curious to see now. There was rumors of her once the changes came in on 13.10. A lot of people saying, look, when are we going to see this champion come back in? When are we going to start to see it be more effective in that bot side? The thing with Neela is that you need to be an initiator. This is a full dive comp coming out here from the side of EDG. You look at every single champion here on your screen. They want to go in. They want to jump in on top of your, the enemy team. However, If you get caught out, you go a little too far forward and you don't find your man, the amount of re-engage and just kind of burst damage available for BLG is kind of something. Both these teams are going to be throwing themselves and everything else they have at each other just to try and get the fights to start off.
Yeah, and Neela, I mean, I know everyone's been talking about this champion ever since the item changes, but her builds still stay relatively the same. You go the Gale Force, like you said, being that self-initiator with someone like the Yuumi and going full dive. I mean, both of these compositions have a lot of pick potential and dive potential when it comes to gap closing, but it really depends on who gets that vision first and who utilizes it the best when it comes to those major objectives. But yeah, Maker playing this Yuumi is going to provide a lot of healing paired alongside this Neela, so they're going to just look to slowly scale for that level 6 and kind of catch the enemy team off guard with how much damage this champion does with that Conqueror available as well.
All right, Kitty, we're locked and loaded. We are on to the Rift for the third and final time. The fans really giving it their all now as they know that both their teams need that 6th man. You need that momentum behind you because we've seen it now twice in a row, how important those early games can be, how it can dictate the rest of the game so damn quickly.
Yeah, and I do really enjoy this Nocturne getting locked in for the side of EDG. That does signify that they are looking for the side lane picks, where we saw a lot of kind of worrying issues or glaring issues coming out of at least the support and the jungler of BLG from that game too. So hopefully with a brand new game, they do clean that aspect up just a little bit to deny EDG from getting that early edge. But Leave this time around on something like the Neela, it doesn't have as much hyper carry potential compared to a champion like the Jinx, which was taken away by BLG. So EDG, they need to make up for that lack of DPS in the likes of Fofo.
Of course, the experience lead's going to be a little bit funky with Neela in the team. And get that extra little bit of XP share between the AD carry and support. But Leap already taking a fair chunk and immediately has to cleanse the Ignite. So I don't know if you want this right now. One more auto attack there from the side of Elk, and he definitely would have felt a little bit more comfortable. Holy moly, Leave.
There's heal.
I think he's... he needs to leave. I mean, you still have heal on Mako. That's probably what they're trying to bait out right now, but I don't think he can stay.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Neela. Her range is so low in the early game. You have to give up your lane party, especially with someone like the Yuumi. You are just playing for that level 3 spike as you have the dashes available, but BLG know this very clearly, just walking up and straight up just autoing Leave to death, where he's forced to back now. And Mako coming back with a pink ward doesn't mean too much as BLG pushing that way with a level advantage.
I mean, this is going to crash like 100%, so that's huge in this early game. That could be the difference between getting yourself a, you know, a level 6 or so before and Rift Herald at 8 minutes and stuff. So, and already a plate taken at 3 minutes is kind of nuts. As we see, the last time we saw this actually was in 2022, LNG versus BLG. It was actually BLG who played it when they had Doggo on the roster in 2022 summer. 294 days, nearly a full year since we've seen this champion. And I mean, like you said, the range is so short. We can see why. It just feels like you have to put yourself in harm's way.
And I know I've been highlighting that Neela, you have great sustain paired alongside an enchanter, but not level 1, buddy. Believe you had to really respect how BLG was going to utilize their auto attacks in terms of the trading. But we do see both junglers now hovering towards his bottom side. Fofo does have that lane party, so I don't think Shun has what it takes to contest for this Scuttle Crab.
JJ just trying to see if he can be a nuisance. Does land the Q onto Shun, and with Fofo having a much better mid lane, you can see that it was forcing Yagao to go back very early. But unfortunately for the side of EDG, their bot lane is just not in a position to be able to contest that. Means that Shun is very happy to move forward, but because of that, the pop down and an exhaust cleanse does come out. The Gravitum is going to be good, and they're going to have to force a flash and a heal. On's coming in off the backside, and that's HYCAN getting the first blood. BLG smell blood in the water, and they take themselves the first kill.
Leave, buddy, you just saw Shun contesting for the Scuttle Crab where it forced Fofo and JJ to go to the opposite side of the map, and you go in? I mean, yes, you got the cleanse out of BLG Elk and also the flash, but look at what you're losing. 2 more waves where he's now down 20 CS and no flash available for himself with your support is level 2.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel good right now. Yagao also not feeling so good right now, taking a much worst trade, as we kind of see him in the mid lane there. But yeah, you can kind of see it. It's a full level difference between Elk and Leave. And normally you say that with the Neela. Normally the Neela's the one kind of skewing the XP numbers, but such a great start here from the side of the BLG bot lane.
And Elk more than happy sitting on that call, 62 remain. But Leave is playing a little bit too greedy in terms of how he is going in for these trades. And of course, I'm not too sure if we're going to get a replay, but BLG, I mean, they had really nice follow-up flashes coming out of the support and the jungler, where it secured that first blood for On. And he's got Merc Treads, and we all know when On has gold in his pockets, he's going to go boots and start impacting the rest of the map.
Yeah, and I like that he's doing this now as well. He kind of recognizes, look, bot lane's under no threat. I can go and help my mid laner get a reset, kind of make sure that wave, at least at the very minimum, kind of, gets pushed out just a little bit. We will see that mid lane getting more and more in favor of Fofo, as he does have that level 6 now, so Pop Blossoms to be done as they look to try and make this one work. It On, trying to be a little bit more of a nuisance to Fofo. Fofo not going to get the immediate recall back. It's going to force out only just one minion to be lost, or maybe even two. So they tried their best, but BLG, they're not able to try to stop this this little bit of a diffy in the mid lane.
LPL directors love zooming in on cannons, and although the cannon minion was the only one that Yago dropped from that mid wave, they were still zooming in on it for a good 10 seconds, while there's a huge slow pushing wave from the side of BLG, and they can realistically look for a dive with that ignite available. We don't have Shun anywhere near though, and no TPs available for both mid laners, so it's going to be a little bit hard to pull off.
Yeah, you don't have the paranoia here for JJ, so not quite sure. They've checked a little bit, but then they're going to try and burst on top of him here. They're going to slow him down. Elk is the target, but a great grab of him means they can't really go for the cleanse. Won't really do a hell of a lot. Now Leaves caught with his pants down around his ankles. He gets tripped up by his own trousers, and that is going to be an easy turnaround kill for BLG. And this Neela is just not looking practiced. It's not looking that good right now for Leave.
And that's 2 more waves gone to the tower for Leave to miss out on, and Elk now sitting on the red and white. He's more than happy to deny all of this CS. Leave it to die. Don't even take the plates. You're more than happy keeping this Neela in this lane in the bottom side. But Jesus Christ, this is not the start that you want to be having in this third and final game, where we said that, yes, Neela is a great initiator, but she's initiating to her own deaths.
She's initiating, but even the way the whole kind of setup comes in, it's that you need your ultimates. Again, like, how is JJ going to make on top of this? They can't follow up. He doesn't land the Q, so he's not getting the extra move speed. And then, yeah, like, it feels so forced.
It is extremely forced, as EDG looking a little bit kind of desperate with finding angles onto Elk. They thought from Game 2, shutting down Elk was the way to go, but even if that play went off, you had Yago being there first on the Annie, so it would have been disastrous, maybe even more than just a kill going over. But we see now with both objectives up and available, junglers are now level 6, so hopefully EDG are going to be able to find better angles to make onto the side lane. But on something like the Rakan, he's going to outroam this Yuumi and just leave Neela and Yuumi towards that bottom side. But I don't think they have what it takes to kill Elk or even threaten Elk in that lane.
Yeah, it really doesn't feel like Elk is in any kind of trouble. He's got the Berserker Greaves now, no boots for either Leave or Mako. Mako doesn't really build them, to be perfectly fair, but
look at the down.
I mean,
look at the player goal.
Leave is on the second to last, Mako being last, and Elk is literally ahead of him. There's almost double the gold in terms of the bot lane, which is absolutely insane. They're going to take away the Rift Herald now, try and push it in towards this mid lane, or maybe even up towards top. There's plenty of options here for Shun, as bot lane will go down. The thing is that you've taken 4 plates so quickly here as a side of BLG that this idea of you kind of, having to hard force bot doesn't exist anymore. 1 plate will go over to the side of the EDG bot lane, so nice little prize for them to kind of bring back this game a little bit, but I mean, it is a minor silver lining, and what is a dark cloud on this bot side.
I can already envision it. We're going to have both the mid jungle of BLG hovering towards his bottom side, so El can collect his final play on this bot tower, and then they're going to rotate this Aphelios and Rakan to the top side and drop the Rift Herald. And we're going to have a 10-plate Aphelios for this Game 3, as they also secure this first dragon, which is going to be Mountain.
Yeah, you can see, I like the small little movements there we saw from the bot lane of BDG, though. They recognize, look, we've level 6s for our Yuumi and our Nila, we're not feeling super confident in terms of a big 5v5, but if we can get on top of them before the Rakan gets his level 6, we definitely have a much stronger position to even have JJ still floating down towards this bot side, making sure that if he can get on the paranoia, he will.
There's a really sneaky ward spotting out the bottom lane of BLG. I'm not too sure if they can take it. They do have all summoners available. That also is the same case for Elk. But my eyes are still onto these two mid laners and who gets first move to really make that difference in the bottom lane skirmish.
So they want to make this one work. It's definitely a possibility here as we got the all out in that top side. Should just be Bin. Yep, ulting away. Ult for ult, pretty standard affair, and this is why you pick the Malphite into the K'Sante, because you can just get away from him. That's the biggest problem when it comes to K'Sante, is just literally walking away from this champion.
No, K'Sante is not a broken champion in 2023. And then you have Bin just walk away, lol, and you have the Giga Chat emote. I can already see that being a Twitter interaction. I don't know where I'm going with this, but the game has slowed down quite a bit. But we have a 30 CS differential in that bottom side, and Elk is now 2 minions away from finishing that up. Wouldn't be surprised if BLG, they start planting down the vision to allow Yaga to make those frequent roams towards the bottom side and deny JJ from kind of being proactive on this Nocturne. This is a pretty bad choke though, so they have to get out.
Here's a question for you, well, before we get into anything. Do you know what Nila's ultimate is called? Okay, take that as a no.
Water Whirl Stone.
Silence as a not quite, no. It's Apotheosis is actually the name of it. Yes, it is the actual definition of the word apotheosis is like the highest academics or like meaning or like, you know, kind of like basically the highest form of something. In terms of, I believe, like knowledge or something like that. I believe that is the definition. It's not the Oxford definition, but it's my definition. The highest point in development of something, a culmination or climax. Apotheosis. There you go. Try to say that in a team fight. That's what I'm going to have to do.
Well, good luck. I'll just say Nila ult.
Yeah. Yeah. To anyone watching at home, you'll always be able to catch out people if they don't quite feel comfortable or confident saying either a player name or a ability. They don't know the name of it or anything like that. They will just say the champion name or Q or W or they'll say stun or something like that to kind of cover themselves. There was a time where no one really...
right now. Stop it.
I'm exposing everybody. I do it too. But I remember for a while there was... it was like Lifeform Disintegration Ray was one that for Vel'Koz, and no one really could remember how to say it properly. As I say that, we're going to see them kind of jumping in right on top of Fofo. No, you got duped. That wasn't the clone. The clone was the one getting away, and they committed, get themselves the kill, get themselves the Rift Herald in the bot side, and all the gold goes over to BLG.
I really thought Fofo got out, but no. I thought Yaga for some reason missed his Flash W onto this Nico, but that is going to be the Rift Herald being planted in the mid lane, securing some plates into this Annie's hand. But I need to start paying attention more because Nico, not only is it pranking the enemy team, it is also pranking me as a caster, and I need to stop doing that.
I mean, great moves here from BLG. Great to see them kind of pushing forward, getting themselves a much-needed advantage. And we talked about it, how important these early games have been between both these teams and both these sides. Plate will go to the wayside without any picking one up. That's very unfortunate there for the side of BLG. 175 gold gone with nobody able to pick it up. But, I mean, it's a 3,500 gold lead. It's BLG with a dragon, another dragon in a minute's time. And yes, you did just use the flash off of Yagao, but I don't think you're too upset about that, to be perfectly honest. I think you're quite happy with the way that the game is going because Bin staying, relevant at the top side. Bot lane has gone exceptional, 40 CS difference, and yes, it is basically being answered in the bot lane, or in the mid lane, I should say. But it doesn't matter because Yagao is a facilitator.
Yeah, and with how much of a gold deficit Leave is sitting on, your eyes are going to slowly move towards how Fofo is going to approach these team fights, working towards that proto belt as well. He has to make up for the lack of damage as Leave. I mean, he's a little bit caught out of position, I think. Has to back off here, but just surprisingly, the bottom tier 1 tower hasn't died.
No, it has not. Not quite yet. It will wait till the tower to go down. Leave getting jumped on a little bit here by the Wukong, but a double TP going to be brought in here by the side of BLG. They brought everybody here. Pop Blossom lands onto everybody. That is a 4-man ultimate, but nobody's gone down just yet. El's taking a lot of healing as Ala wants to try and burn him out. They're going to jump straight back in on top of the Cassante, who should be able to get away from this. How are they gaining all these damage out? The Cassante stays alive despite everyone's best efforts. And now Bin caught between himself and a hard place, and he will go down. 4 kills over to EDG. They are not done with this series.
Fofo did it! Fofo TP'd in and got a 3-man ultimate onto BLG. As EDG, they had so many engaged tools. Elk just couldn't escape, even with the flash and the Gale Force in his hands. But that is going to be a huge gold shift for the side of EDG as we see how this fight kind of initiated as the lights were turned off. So Bin wasn't able to TP at this exact moment, so he had to wait for the entire time. And then we have Fofo landing a really nice ultimate onto the carries, while Bin TPing very late. I mean, just Ala on this Cassante was also a very big nuisance for the backside of BLG to handle, and fighting in this choke, Nico was insane.
Absolutely massive engage there from Fofo, and great follow-up from Ala just to have the confidence. He didn't even lose his flash in that as well, just showing you how confident he was. He could go as aggressive as possible, get onto this Aphelios, take him out, and get himself the kills. The Dragon goes over in favor of EDG. They get themselves back into this game in terms of the goal. They're not quite equal just yet, but that helps a hell of a lot. And it all comes off the back of Fofo. I really do think that was such an incredible engage, and great to see him having such a good game.
Yeah, exactly. I think his previous game, during that Ari and Vi synergy that we saw from Game 2, was also kind of where it all started. As Fofo, he has great initiative coming into this series and really getting his eyes set onto Elk on this Aphelios. Even though Leave, he was the second least gold in that early game. Picking up the Gale Force now and no flash available for Elk for this upcoming skirmish. It's going to be really hard for BLG to find any angle as EDG does so much gap closing.
Yeah, Leave still has the flash. Actually, a lot was used there from the side of BLG. You can see no flash there onto Bin, Shun, Elk, On. On might have his up in a couple of seconds, so definitely something he can maybe look towards, but no real objective to be fighting over for at least another 3 minutes or so, and that's when the Baron will spawn. But if Terrell was secured, has Bin going to walk in and unfortunately realize that his tower is already dead. So more and more gold being put back into EDG as On doesn't get caught out there by the Nico clone. And I almost got caught out by the Nico clone there. I was like, I wonder why that didn't stop the recall. But
Oshin,
looks like Bin going to be able to equal out that bot side.
You know, one of the most wholesome stories when it comes to League of Legends skins is that it still lives in my head rent-free. Doinby chose his World Championship skin for FPX to be Malphite because the only champion that Doinby's wife knows how to play, but I need to stop that!
Yeah, you do need to stop that. The paranoia comes in, but Leave's already dead. They're trying to jump in on top of this Aphelios, but red and white, he is healing up. The Yuumi shall go down afterwards. That's Fofo as the Cassante, but JJ's already kind of used everything. He's already kind of wasted, or not even wasted, but just kind of used a lot of his ultimate. And now you can see the Pop Blossom come in. They're going to jump straight on the Fofo, who was isolated. Ala, are you fancying a 1v5 on the Cassante? I wouldn't bet against him, but now you've got the Rift Herald being dropped down. This is 18 minutes into the game. They may look to try and break open the base right now.
Can they get a third tower at 18 minutes? It really does seem like so. As EDG, they get caught off guard with that flank coming out of On and Shun. As this is going to be a huge shift in macro, but I didn't expect Fofo to also die because On, I mean, it really did seem like the Rakano was going to get stuck in the Pop Blossom, but no, man was very slippery to say the least.
Absolutely, and let's have a look at the replay here, because again, it's just really good work here from On and Shun to just get onto the backside.
Yeah, and Leave did have that flash available, so I just didn't I think he didn't expect the amount of damage to come out of just a Wukong and Annie, but we have to take another look on how Fofo died. It was him dodging out on the initial Rakan W, but Bin following up with that ultimate as well. Just a numbers disadvantage for EDG to take with Ala arriving late.
Oh, another TP coming in. That's going to be Yagao. On the backside, gonna jump onto Bin just to stun him down. Drops the Timbers for the extra bit of damage. The paranoia to see if they could maybe get rid of some of that vision, but a double kill coming in for Shun on this Wukong. You just cannot give over a Wukong and Annie. It is too damn powerful. And Baron's not spawning for 30 seconds. And the funny thing is normally that would be an immediate turn to the big purple worm, but they can't do it right now.
Bit of an awkward situation to be BLG, as you do have 2 people dead on the side of EDG, but killing Neela or catching Neela out of position also means that Meiko unfortunately has to also fall as a result. It's kind of like buying a combo meal, getting the Neela, you also deserve this Yuumi kill, and no vision setup whatsoever.
Free toy and a Happy Meal.
Yeah, for EDG to kind of walk into these major objectives whatsoever, as you have been pressuring that top side, most likely also going to get that tier 1 tower.
5 seconds till Dragon spawns. You do have the Neela and Yuumi
Look at
back
that TP
again.
ward.
Don't have any summoners. TP from the Malphite could be absolutely massive. He's going to reset just before anything else can really happen. They're going to clear out all this dark vision. JJ still off to the side. He hasn't committed to anything just yet. TP coming in from Bin as he has finished up his Iceborne Gauntlet. We are going to see already On taking a lot of damage, and they're going to jump straight onto the Nocturne. JJ just cannot do it. They throw everything on top of Elk, but it does mean that they now have nothing to try and throw back at the rest of the team, because you've used everything to kill this Aphelios. But don't forget, the Cassante is huge. With a cat on his back, will he have enough to keep himself alive? No! Not quite! And a smack down from the rock onto the cat gives themselves the ace. That's going to be a 5 for 2 in favor of BLG. They can go for the Dragon, they can go for a push in mid, they can go for wherever the hell they want.
And Shun surprisingly did the most damage out of that team fight for the side of BLG, but we'll have another look at what just happened, because JJ closed the lights and his focus was on the AD carry of BLG. Elk trying to make distance with that Gale Force and Flash available, but unfortunately not having enough distance from Fofo. But every single ability committed to this Aphelios meant that they didn't have anything to kill this Wukong and Malphite, which was such a menace in this team fight. Ala desperately trying to do anything, but the Flash to kind of get that distance didn't mean too much, as it wasn't over the wall. And a very clean 3-for-5 trade.
Very, very clean. 8,000 gold or just underneath it now in favor of BLG. 2 Dragons to the good as they look for 2 more to get themselves that Infernal Soul point. On now having a much better game comparatively to game number 2. Game number 1 was good. Game number 2, we forget about that, but it's all good, because if he's able to bring out the win here for BLG, keep their undefeated series run going, would be fantastic for this organization. And again, kind of adding another accolade to why this team can be seen as, you know, arguably, you know, a top 2, if, you know, like, you know, team in the split without, you know, kind of any kind of, you know, kind of doubt in our minds.
Yeah, and throughout spring, the only reason why, well, I wouldn't say the only reason, but a huge highlight of why EDG found so much success was because of Leave. But without that early lead that he so desperately needs, I mean, this Neela is not finding the angles that it's supposed to. And now Elk is sitting on that red and white, now threatening the Baron, as he also has a stopwatch in hand. No summoners, but does have a stopwatch. So EDG need to be very careful with how deep they go in with that engage.
There's 3 Zhonya's, or at least Zhonya's effects available for BLG. 2 stopwatches on the Shun and Elk, and then Zhonya's themselves onto Yagao. As we can, here we go. They're going to look for a big fight, and they're going to be able to find, and the Pop Blossom is good, but it's not onto Elk. Try to throw on top of him, but he's already feared. They're going to go all out in here. It's a Rakan for an eco trade. The Cassante does his job and gets himself on top of the AD carry. The Neela has been taken out, but now do they have the damage afterwards? That is the question. Bin moves forward, and this rock is just clapping down on EDG. It is a 3-for-2 trade, so better for EDG, but still in favor of BLG.
I wouldn't be surprised if Yago outdamages Elk in this game, because EDG throwing all their abilities onto Elk once again. I mean, he had to use a stopwatch, but they didn't have the remaining tools to kill the front line of BLG, but now they want to contest this.
I mean, it's got to come down to Ala. Can he do much about this one here? It's not a fast Baron, so he knows he's got plenty of time. With the cat on his back, does he have enough to kind of go for this one? Yagao is potentially the target as Bin now moves forward. The Baron down to 2,000 HP. It's going to be secured, and they're going to be able to get it onto every single member of BLG. So BLG still get their objective. I like the idea from Ala to try and maybe make something work, but the combination's just not quite there.
As you see, Fofo cosplaying as a minion, trying to catch someone off guard, but all the abilities went onto Bin for the Malphite. But we see JJ having his hands onto Elk this entire team fight. And I thought it was a winning fight for EDG. On got instantly melted as we had a lot of healing coming out of the Yuumi and Neela. But no, you have no damage whatsoever to finish off the front line of BLG. And that is very apparent that they are the problem in these team fights that are unkillable pretty much.
Absolutely, and I love that you brought that up as well, because they got the damage down onto Elk. Elk was caught out. Everyone was kind of stopped from being helping him out with the Pop Blossom because it caught a set a zone between the rest of BLG and their AD carry, but it just wasn't enough. 7-1 and 9 is Shun on this Wukong, and this is something that we've kind of seen since MSI, is that it used to be like, oh, the jungler got the kills, it's not that big of a deal, or it's not that great as such, but we are seeing it more and more that it's becoming a bit of a problem, and now they're going to jump straight in on top of the Neela. 1 and 7 for Leave on this champion. Is it a counter to the Aphelios? The answer is no, definitively not, and that is 3 quick kills. They're going to TP down towards this bot side. As cool as a cucumber, Bin turns the tide of this fight, this game, and possibly even this series.
Look, JJ popped his ultimate for that final fight, but as a response, 3 members of EDG were asleep and they couldn't see anything as they got instantly one-shot by Yago and Bin, but still a very convincing Game 3 as they look to end the game.
It's 5v2 and you're a Nocturne and a little kitty and getting thrown into the river. BLG will maintain their undefeated series wins as they pad their AD carries stats just a little bit more. There's going to be another ace, and there is another series win for BLG.
From the moment of how level 1 went for the side of EDG, I am not surprised whatsoever that Elk had a wonderful game when it came to the laning phase, and this Neela just not meeting expectations, or at least whatever EDG was cooking for this final game, where I think they should seriously reconsider this. But BLG, coming out of this week, now 3-0, remain defeatless.
I mean, getting themselves a couple of scrapey games, Game 2 and EDG, definitely not ideal. The game versus RA, not exactly a great position to find yourself in, but they get themselves another dub. That's 3-0 for this roster as they look to try and continue themselves on a very, very good run of form, taking it from spring playoffs all the way into some of the regular split through MSI. Fantastic to see, and for EDG, I mean, this is a tough loss to take now. You're kind of seeing EDG falling to the wayside a little bit more than we expected. Now losing to BLG, previously having lost to Top Esports. These are big losses for this organization because we've talked about it time and time again that there is so many stacked lineups that you start racking up these losses. It can lead to you starting much further down in the summer playoffs, maybe even losing out on summer playoffs itself. It can be that close.
Yeah, and something that is a little bit sad to know that is Maker, after his birthday, is going to receive a second loss in a row for the side of EDG. But these mistakes coming into tonight's series were just laning. I mean, we saw that Leave, he was really struggling to kind of neutralize the presence of Elk and On when it did come to the 2v2 isolated matchup, where I think the remaining of the team, I mean, Fofo had an amazing game on that Nico to finalize everything, as he was the one just getting amazing CCs and ultimates onto the enemy team, but it wasn't enough because of how far behind his bottom lane was. And we just need to we need to remind everyone in the audience that Leave, he was sitting on the second least gold on Neela compared to Elk, who was just thriving off 4 plates at that 11-minute mark, which is a very damning fact to know, as I just think Leaf, he needs to kind of start stabilizing in that early game and really allow EDG to get to that late game stage where they do thrive of team fights.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like trying something new. I like saying, look, we're going to punish you for this, or we're going to try and make something work off of something that you maybe not be prepared for. I mean, it looked like Elk just knew exactly how to play into that particular matchup, and that Leave just 100% disrespected it. It didn't look like he really felt like he understood the trading patterns, and again, I think he was 1-8 at the end of it all, maybe. It did not look good for the young AD carry of EDG, who's had such an incredible spring split. I really hope he's able to kind of bounce back because he does look like a legitimate threat if he's given time. And I mean, straight up, Elk just kind of schooled him a little bit there today. But I mean, Elk's been kind of building himself as one of the best AD carries we have in our league, one of the people who can maybe, you know, rival the likes of Gala and Jackie Love and Ruler to kind of maybe put himself in a top 3 category. So it's just a BLG that are just, I hate to say it, but they're just built different right now. You can even see it through the solo laners and the jungle. They just knew that once Elk got ahead, it's like, cool, he'll still be in Aphelios. You still have to focus on. We can do the damage on the back end.
The Neela did less damage than Mako coming into this game 3, which is just kind of depressing to see. But you can tell how much of a threat the solo laners of BLG were, and especially Shun on that Wukong. I believe his final score was like 7-1 or something, where he just had all the presence in that team fight, working alongside the initial engage that Yaga and Bin were able to create as an angle onto the carries. But still, I think Shun has been the person that has impressed me the most ever since spring playoffs all the way to now summer regular split, and he is remaining as consistent. I know he had that Kha'Zix incident from the previous game, but that's just the champion. I mean, sometimes you just like doing a little bit of experimenting, and you do kind of have a bit too much fun, especially in On, but I don't think that kind of affected Shun in a lot of ways, as you just give him something like the Vi and the Wukong and he gets the job done.
Yeah, I mean, look, a 2-12 bot lane is not ideal for the side of EDG, and yeah, it is a tough loss to take. And again, like I said earlier on in the broadcast, this is only the first of 2 tests. They still have to go up against JDG, the MSI champion, to really try and kind of bring this season back. It's going to be tough, but we're going to send it over to our winner's interview with Wendy.
Hello everyone, welcome to interview, and now I'm standing by with Yago from BLG. Congratulations on today's win, and now BLG, you guys are on a 3-winning streak. So how do you feel at this moment, and tell us more about the preparation made by the team before today's game? 首先恭喜你们今天拿下比赛的胜利，现在也是队伍来到3连胜嘛，所以说现在感觉怎么样？在今天面对 EDG 之前，或许有没有做什么特别的准备呢
？3连胜心情好吧，因为 EDG 也是个很强的队伍，然后能赢下来是很开心的。今天来的话就是抱着赢的信念来的。
So definitely I'm quite happy at this moment because definitely EDG is a quite strong team, so we're able to get the win against them. I'm very happy at this moment. And to be honest, before today's matchup, we just hold the mindset that we're going to win today's game. And definitely a very solid best of 3. Talk a bit more about your champion choice. You have 3 any games today, facing different champions in the main lane. How would you evaluate Annie, this champion, in this meta? And when you're playing with her, what's the focus? 那也想问一下关于你今天的英雄选择。今天你也是拿了3局安妮，然后面对对面3个不同的中单英雄，所以然后也打得非常非常的漂亮。所以说也想问一下，可能当你操守安妮这个英雄的时候，你有什么特别的关注？你怎么评价安妮在这个版本的强度？
安妮的话就最近一直都比较火嘛，然后也是很适合我们队伍，所以说就选了3把，然后就这样。
I really feel Annie is definitely a very hot pick. She's very popular pick in this meta, and also it feels like this champion can really fit into our team's playstyle. So that's the reason I just picked 3 Annie. 3 any single role for today's game. And also in Game 3, the opponent's team, they have the very interesting bot duo. They got this Nira and Yumi. After they locked down these champions, what's the team's reaction? And how did you handle with the opponent's bot lane? 那其实对面也是第3局选出了有一点点出人意料的一个下路组合，尼拉和优咪嘛。当时你们看到的时候，对面索下是怎么样的一个队内反应？然后呢，实际去面对他是怎么处理的？
就没有想到吧，然后但有想过他们会选猫，但是没有想到会选尼拉加猫吧，然后但是他们选下了之后，我们下路说没什么问题，可以应对。
Definitely, this body is beyond our expectations. Maybe you feel somehow the opponent's team, they may just pick Yumi, but we didn't expect this marksman to be here on stage. But after they just locked down our body, they still got the confidence. They just told us they can handle with that bot lane. And definitely a very good gameplay around bot lane in Game 3 as well. And also, my last question is about the team fight from BLG. We feels like BLG, you guys can really have a very good synergy and can always have the perfect team fight. What makes BLG's team fight so strong in your perspective? 那其实最后一个问题啊，问的是关于你们 BLG 的团战，感觉你们好像每一次打团都打得特别的亮眼，特别的好，5个人就是如同5人一体一般。所以说，你觉得为什么我们 BLG 吴小碧可以团战打得这么好？最重要的原因是什么？
就我们一是我们很喜欢打架吧，然后再是我们打了很多场比赛了，然后所以说大家都比较自己清楚自己该干嘛，然后都打得很好吧，比打越来越好了。
First of all, definitely we have a rather aggressive playstyle. We're just willing to seek more opportunities to engage the team fight in the actual games. And also because we really played so many games, all 5 of us. So we feels like we just have the better synergy, the better coordinations. We just perform better in the team fights. And thank you for the sharing and congratulations again. 再次恭喜你们，后面也要加油。And back to you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And of course, always great to see Yago's thoughts on the game. He just says, look, we've been playing a hell of a lot of games, which is absolute facts. And we have all got the synergy. And having Yagao get the